Yeah. Hey there. What's that? Oh, I don't need a light. Hey, how's it going?
You use various ways to trick people by the usage of the imaginary referent and go on to envision a recognizable trait. Anonymity must be created through the deconstruction of representational codes. Will they choose repressive sounds? Artificially manufactured between signifier and signified. He's trying to achieve what he's been trying to achieve without analyzing the causes of the misery he describes. Intervals of total silence which afford possibilities of musical expression. Tuning, tempo, timing, tonality, timbre, temporary, transitory, relative, and rhythm, all of which works to dull the crisis of the process. And I started composing a piece which was shat on by self-referential money people. There are restatements and modifications of structure, but there comes a point where you're strangling yourself. At one point, the work gets totally out of hand to the point where it gets a little freaky. When you're alone, you can disguise yourself. You can mask yourself. Anonymity is indeed a prerequisite. The grasping of this concept is crucial to justify its existence. And the word subvert has become too cliched and ambiguous to be used effectively in this context, which is a remarkable condemnation into the poetic event itself.
Whoa! Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry Klein. Terry, you ain't cheating. You're not gonna get it. Terry Klein. Keep on going, baby. Give it to me, baby.
You want to hear personally penned stuff, or you want to just hear me recite like
Everything.
someone else's? Okay.
Get going.
All right.
Get going.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks
Love you
for having
all.
us. Rip open this breast, and you will find a heart wherein the truth is written, I lack the courage to utter, if the world had ears to hear and the heart to understand. I'm no longer a prince on a white horse, galloping over the hills and valleys of my long life. I'm the horse itself, lathered to exhaustion, desperate for rest, feeling to be face to face with an infinite possibility of latent evil. I fled to the streets, pursued by a question that torments me. Are we a single being forever? One soul, one flesh, one love, one heart, one all? I know now it's not my desire that drives me, but my fate. It is this unfathomable longing of a soul to vex itself, to offer violence to its own nature, to do wrong for the wrong's sake only, that urges me to continue and finally to consummate the injury I now inflict upon me. That between my soul's desire and me, which follows after, is the argument of time. Yeah. As sure as I have a thought or a soul, be strong and whore, for sometimes the devil doth preach, and discontented want is the best clay to mold a villain, and this same bias, this commodity. Is there no thunder left, or is it kept in stock for some heavy of purpose? And if we really believe that all that is happening is all that is happening during this time, severe stress can impair the brain's learning center and so be damaging to the intellect. In order to be freed from this dependency, what a nightmare this is, because it is so painful to be on the receiving end. And therefore, it is rational to suppose that mental life ceases when bodily life ceases. These words step slightly aside, as in judo, where you use the energy of your opponent. But as you move in, he turns into your older brother Saturn, who helps to get heavy with the full weight of their ruin and the full power of their failures. Even tomorrow's not promised to you, so you might as well not bother to plan on it. Evil belongs to everyone, and this evil will sit in vigilance and observe that I'm no good. That's all right. Now I know what's wrong. That nature is so circular and so unintelligible. Everybody knows everybody's dying. That's what makes them so good as they are. It so vexes me that I give my horse a kick and do offer blows at her, because I knew she loved me, and because I felt that she had given me no reason of offense, and because I knew that in so doing I'm committing a sin, a terrible deadly sin that would so jeopardize my immortal soul and place it, if such a thing were possible, even beyond the infinite reach of the most terrible and most merciful God. Why does not heaven turn black with a frown unto the world? Why does the earth not strike at the sins that tread on it? 'Twould frighten the sinner and make him a good coward. Even if the laws of conscience and custom may condemn me, triumphing over infamy and fate, that oblivion would claim them, tickling commodity. Commodity! Mad world, mad composition. The bias of this word, this all-changing word, this commodity. Why rail I on this commodity? Mad world, this advantage from all direction. Mad composition. Mad world, mad composition. I will embrace thee, and for my hand I clutch this hand, for I will embrace thee. And in the morning when I'm up and dressed and the mask is on, who could perceive it, save for that eternal eye that sees through flesh and all well? And you might even find the time to discover that it's the beginning of keeping the world from getting in. It came to me quite unexpectedly. And on the one hand, I was relieved that I didn't have anything to read, and they simply needed to our bodies. I knew that. I'm aware of that. But he had danced all night long with an ugly summer, and about 2 in the morning, it made me feel like $1,000,000. Conversely, at the times of the day at which your energy level was lowest, if it had not been anything of that sort, now and then, despite my grim satisfaction, I get to thinking about he was a young Catholic also, precocious, and went to the brothel. Even now the eyes seem mild, but they are melancholy and knowing. It spans the skull diagonally from the left cheek, a little below the eye level, right to the nose and mouth and right side of the chin. The pineal controls the body's biological clock, the internal mechanism that tells us when it's time to sleep. You really must take me for someone of overtaxed mental and emotional resources. I don't respond to anonymous allegations. Crisp, clean dollars. American. Also, I'm being paid for it. This business of trading embarrassment for money is an old Washington custom dating back to the murky beginnings of the Jefferson administration. You know, there's a psychotic disorder associated with the honey put a cold compress on his neck. Tell him I have to go. Shit, you just killed a little woman in me. And I said, Doctor, what can I do? You know, there's a psychotic disorder associated with some forms of drug abuse where the abuser suffers from delusion that insects are infesting his epidermis. It's called egg-bound syndrome. The victim cuts himself in an attempt to extract the imaginary insect. I told you all clearly, I made it perfectly clear that all the plans we are aware of the sacrifices of our people, previously in the right sphere of interest. If an alien civilization were technologically advanced enough to build and send artificially intelligent robotic probes to the furthest reaches of space, might they not have also been able to perfect the extraction of methane fuel from manure, an abundant and replenishing energy source on a planet filled with dung-producing creatures? That has to do with this acquisition of knowledge called initiation. Resume pedaling, shift the low gear, the hill is steeper than it looks. Resume pedaling, shift the low gear, the hill is steeper than it looks. And before that, it's about time the piano realized it has not written the concerto. And you have no idea. I would have thought a case like that took a little effort, not too much. Exactly. Therein lies our salvation. What happens to a man when he faces the heaven he has prayed for? What does it mean when he realizes that his hopes are being fulfilled? Thank you.